Rusty and Bobby, I'm so excited to sit down and chat with you today. Thanks for making time.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You're one of our top industrial teams. You're here at our Mill Rock office. I love seeing how your team operates on so many levels. You're doing so many great things. And so I'm excited to chat more with you individually and also about your team. So let's first start looking backwards and then we'll look forwards. But let's hear a little bit about what brought you to today. So Rusty, let's start with you.
Well, it's a bit of a long story, so I'll keep it short.
Okay.
I've been doing industrial brokerage for close to 26 years now, and it started with knocking on some doors and trying to get a job, and finally found someone that would give me a shot, and it was, here's your desk, here's your phone, good luck.
All right.
So anyway, it was a bit of a slog in the beginning and just lots of phone calling and lots of door knocking, and finally started to get some traction and figured out some better ways to do the business. And throughout the course of that 26 years, I've found better ways to do things. And one of the things I learned was that it's hard to do this by yourself. So anyway, I started building a team began with Bobby, which was a great first hire, and everything's history from there. But it's been a really fun journey.
That's awesome. So you gravitated pretty much from the start to industrial.
I did.
And what makes it a good fit for you versus retail or office?
You know, that's a great question. And I would say when I first started, in all truth, I actually did anything I could get my hands on. So I did do a little bit of retail, I did do a little bit of office, and I did more industrial. And I always thought, oh, I want to do investment sales, but it takes a while to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, what I found in doing all those different types of transactions, that industrial was just absolutely fascinating to me. When you talk about logistics and supply chain and all the different things about how things are made, and I just had the opportunity to meet so many different people that did so many different things, and it was really cool because we have these appliances and these clothing and things like that just show up on our doorstep. And once upon a time, we used to have to go to the store and buy these things.
Right. Remember that? Yeah.
Anyhow, these are all made somewhere by somebody, and often different components are made in different places, and they come together. It just absolutely. I refer to myself as an industrial geek.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
No, there's so many great entrepreneurs in Utah, and you get to help them.
That's right.
Grow their businesses with their real estate strategy.
And they're also passionate about what they do too, so it's really fun to see.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. And then you mentioned Bobby being a great first team member. So Bobby, let's hear about your journey.
Yeah. I mean, real estate's kind of just always been in the blood a little bit, going back several generations. I guess my great grandpa was in the kind of real estate development world, built a bunch of homes in the Rose Park area at one point, built some multifamily, built some office buildings, blah, blah, blah. Actually ended up being kind of the lead real estate guy for the church a couple decades back.
That's such a cool history that you come from. That's
yeah,
awesome.
kind of fun. I get to say I'm fourth generation real estate professional. It kind of skipped the generation before me a little bit. They just a little bit, but anyway, so long and short of it, I've kind of always been really interested in that. So I actually started out in the commercial appraisal world. Actually appraised these buildings at one point, not as an appraiser, but as an assistant.
Cool.
And then from there moved into commercial construction, and then finally into the kind of the brokerage world. One of the owners of the appraisal firm basically said, like, hey, take a look at brokerage. So I looked at a few different facets and just decided brokerage was the right fit. So my first foray was actually at Cushman and Wakefield. That was in the research department. Did that for a little while, transitioned to brokerage there, but just didn't have a whole lot of upside, not really an opportunity. So when Colliers bought Coldwell Banker, they kind of tapped Rusty to come in and help lead and build the industrial department. So then he brought me over, and I was able to join his team. And since then we've been able to grow that more and more and more. And now we got a team of we're going on 6 now right now with the new hire.
Right.
So
That's right.
Great sized team. So research is one path that brokers take to be in your role now. So how does that play into what you do now? How has that been helpful to you and to Rusty also to have that background?
good question. I would say what everyone thinks of, and is valid, it's true, is everyone thinks of you get to start and you get to get exposure to the different product types. You get to understand the market. You get to understand what the base looks like. You get to understand how things are tracked, and you get all that side of it. And I think that's valid. I don't want to discount that. What was kind of unexpected is that I became a lot better researcher the day I started as a broker, if that makes sense. I understood a whole lot more about research, why it's important, how it's used. And so that whole world just opened up for me as soon as I transitioned to the brokerage.
So once you sat on the other side of the table, you're like, I understand my old job better now.
100%. Yeah, it was a completely different story. So I, going into the brokerage role, I think the other thing that has helped that again was somewhat unexpected is since I've been on that side of the table, I understand more what their research and the rest of the team, the mapping team, the marketing team, I was in that seat, so I understand what they need more. So it's a lot simpler for me. Well, I shouldn't say simpler. It's just easier for me to understand what they're looking for and how they operate and how they can't start on the project until they have what they need from us. And you can't just say, hey, figure this out and do it. And sometimes they can, but a lot of times you have to provide them the tools to do that. And I think I understand that now more than I did then. I think especially as a broker, I think that's somewhat unique, and most people haven't sat on that side of the table. So, or at least drawn those same conclusions. So that's been a huge thing for me, is just being able to kind of understand and put myself in their shoes a little bit better and help try to work together as a greater big team and like an extension of our team versus just like, you guys are staff and we're brokers. And
Right.
you know,
And that's one of the things your team is really known for, is working so well with the staff. It feels like you really have that dialed in, and also show them a lot of gratitude, which they appreciate, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that comes from having sat on that side of the table. And actually, Rusty, you were telling me that gratitude is one of your team mottos
is.
or mantras.
Yeah,
Mhm.
gratitude is one of them. Grit's another one, because both things are important in the brokerage world, in my opinion. And having gratitude for the people that help us do what we do is absolutely essential. And the other thing that we hold very near and dear in our hearts as with our team is ethics. So very important to be ethical. And but most of all, the gratitude component with the people that help us. And as Bobby alluded to as well, the idea that they're a part of our team. We all in this together, and treating them as such. And they're not people that work for us, they're people that work with us. So I think of having that mentality, it just makes things so much smoother. And I can feel the appreciation that they have for that as well, because I don't know that that's always the case.
In a minute, we'll look at some of the projects that you've done together with
Yeah.
the team, which will be cool.
Sure.
So one of the things I've noticed about your team is you book the boardroom more often than others, and you're in there for a variety of reasons. So maybe talk us through how you build structure for your team, and what are the things that you're accomplishing in there?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting phenomenon because you can meet too much, right? That easily can happen. But so it's a fine balance. But we do tend to meet a lot. And one of the reasons for that is we find a lot of productive time together. I like to, and Bobby likes to as well, get everybody in the same room. We have a lot of structure to our meetings, but at the same time, we're always kind of brainstorming together as well. You know, Bobby and I just had a moment 15 minutes ago where we were talking about a project we're putting together for a client, and I said something about it, and then it spawned him to think of something else, and it came back to me, and I thought of something else, and we just go up and up and up from
That's
there.
great.
And I feel like that's the case with all of our team members. Everybody's got an equal voice. You know, interestingly enough, I don't always agree with Bobby, and Bobby doesn't always agree with me. And even though I'm the one who started this team, I don't always win that argument. So,
Well, if you both thought the exact same way,
Yeah.
you both wouldn't be needed, right?
That's right.
So there's a good balance of thoughts and backgrounds.
exactly right. And we like to look at this as a business. We run our own business here, even though we work under the umbrella of Colliers. It is our own business. And so, what I've done and what Bobby's done is we've looked at the world out there and what are entrepreneurs doing, what things are helping them, and we're taking those tools and using them in our own business. And the way I look at it too is we've got to invest in ourselves. So we spend time and money looking at things and ways to improve the way we do things better.
So you've signed up for different programs that help teach you and refine your processes. which I think
yeah,
is
that's right. Can be, some of it's been like different types of coaching. Some of it's been virtual, some of it's in live coaching. We've done, all kinds of different programs we've been utilizing, different CRMs, all kinds of different things to just try to, the old adage, you have to spend money to make money. We're trying to utilize some of those funds to actually keep growing and developing, becoming a better team, and even just making things better within the team. So for example, one of the things we've done is a program called EOS. And with that, they have some very structured meetings and stuff like that. So like Rusty was mentioning, we've implemented that into our meeting structure. And we've tried daily short meetings. We've tried, in less frequent but longer meetings and different things. We've kind of settled on, we usually one team meeting and one kind of like more sales meeting. And then more team meeting is just kind of the broad strokes, the team related stuff. And it's, it's not necessarily deal specific, but it's kind of business specific. And then the other one is more that sales team. But we have focus on different things and have different people there and blah, blah, blah. But it just kind of helps us stay focused on the different things that we need to accomplish. And again, it's a structured meeting and there's very specific steps to it, but then we do have kind of that open brainstorming that allows us to fine tune all the different things we're working on and coming up with, here's all these different problems. We prioritize, these are ones that are most important, and then kind of trying to knock those out. And it's really been a pretty efficient way for us to grow and learn. And so that's one of the ways that we, probably cost us $60,000-$70,000 to go through this whole training program, but it's revolutionized how we do all of our meetings.
Much more efficient. And I would say that keeping it fun is also important. As an example, we started our team meeting today with, what food would you eat if it was the only food you could eat for the rest of your life?
That's a hard one.
That is a hard one.
Revealing, whatever people do.
Occasionally do funny things like that. So yeah.
And also, I understand that you rate or score your meetings at the end.
We do.
What does that look like?
Interestingly enough, when we first started this, our average scores were mid-7s. And now I'd say we consistently score above a 9. And so the 10 being the highest. So that's great.
So at the end of the meeting, how do people score?
So we have a program, like an actual, it's like essentially an app that we use as we get through our meetings, and it goes through the different process or progress. We do this for X amount of minutes and blah, blah, blah. But the last thing, kind of the conclusion or wrap up, we usually kind of recap, here's what we did in the meeting. And then everyone rates the meeting 1 to 10. And so each person goes around the room and they rank it. And then, it's revealing. It's helpful to see. And it kind of depends, sometimes if it's more like big ideas and cool, fun stuff, like Rusty and I tend to rate that higher. But Eilina, for example, she might rate that lower because she's like, well, I didn't get through all the stuff I wanted to go through. So it just kind of depends. But yeah, generally speaking, I totally agree. At this point, almost exclusively, we're getting 8.5 and above or whatever from everybody in the team. So it's just been helpful for us to kind of, again, we look at all the things we need to accomplish, prioritize, and then knock all that stuff out, kind of triage it.
I think it's so wise because I can see at the end of the meeting when you score it and you see what went well and maybe what you got docked for, what you docked yourselves for. That's the beginning of the next meeting. Even if it's a week later, you have that going into the next meeting of, well, this is how we can gamify this, get a better score this next time, right?
Absolutely. And our meetings are a safe space too. So even if it's someone that's new to the team, we try to encourage them, like, speak your mind, speak your truth, tell us what you feel. And if they're reading it a 6, I want them to rate it a 6. I don't want them to say it's a 9 just because I said it's a 9. And I want to understand that. So anyway.
That's great. That's
we showed a new hire today, and I think she rated it a 9.5.
Yeah.
So
right out of the gate.
Yeah. So she might have just been intimidated by you, though. I don't know.
So the two of you, you have a number of clients, number of projects at any given time. And how do you divvy up what Bobby's going to focus on, what you're going to focus on? What have you learned is the most efficient use of both of you?
That's another good question. And often it kind of depends on where we're at in our business cycle. Sometimes it's busier than others. But when we're really busy, we definitely have to do a little bit more dividing and conquering. And the way we mix it up is I tend to focus on larger transactions. Bobby's kind of the middle. And Ethan kind of takes care of the smaller stuff. And we all kind of have crossover for sure and everything. And we want everybody to be a part of everything. And we're often multiple people we're all on the calls that are important for sure. And every call's important, but that's what you say, that's about how we do it.
Yeah, and it kind of depends on this business is so ever evolving that it could be a deal where Rusty kind of starts out as the lead, and then I end up picking it up and kind of really running with it from then. And it really is, I would say it's hard to give like a specific bifurcation of here's exactly how we do it. And it, like Rusty said, there's kind of a lead on each deal, but at the same time, we're also providing backup. So again, I'm kind of in the middle, so I'm going to help Rusty and I'm going to help Ethan, and then Ethan can back me up and Rusty can back me up as well. So it ends up just like we have kind of a primary and a secondary and everything. But I'd say, just we all try to kind of play into our strengths too. So if Rusty's exceptionally gets along really well with a specific client, then he's more likely, even if it's maybe more into my territory, he's more likely to just be the sole focus there, and vice versa.
And it is interesting because sometimes that lead shifts, as Bobby mentioned. We'll be halfway through a deal and all of a sudden, the other person's doing more on it than, and we just,
the beauty of a team.
We kind of flow with it, let it take its natural course.
But we're doing a $12 million disposition right now. And it started out kind of me being the lead, and then it kind of shifted to Rusty-ish, but then it really is now Ethan's pretty much running it almost exclusively now. And so it's just kind of weird how stuff like that happens, where theoretically a $12 million deal, that's big enough that maybe it would be more in my purvey, but Ethan's taking it, he's running with it, he's crushing it. So
that's great. What's a quick take on the market? What's your 30-second market report on Utah industrial?
I'd say things are good. We're not exploding, but we're doing well. The last 2 years weren't record breakers. They were great years. But this year we've seen a definite turnaround and the market fundamentals are solid. We've seen a large increase in leasing activity. The bulk market has woken up in a big, big way. Vacancies come down, absorption's gone up, all the right things are happening. So I'm expecting a really bright next 12 to 24 months.
That's great. That's great news.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked theory. Now let's jump into some specifics. So you have great projects. I think we're going to focus in on one of them today. And our team has helped you. Your team has worked with our marketing team to come up with some of these aerials and these marketing materials.
So
tell us
yeah,
what we're
sorry,
looking at.
trying to get the cursor over here. So this is Central Commerce. And let me just, this is a transaction that we put together kind of soup to nuts. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to talk about it here today is it was a land site that was a little bit low in that it was 4 to 6 feet below grade. And it was sitting in a premier area of the Northwest Quadrant, California Avenue and Bangerter. And essentially nobody wanted to touch it because of the fill conditions in it. And the street wasn't paved going into it either. And so we have a construction client that we thought, oh, this could be a good fit for him. So we showed it to him and he's like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for me. I can buy it. I can throw my excess dirt there and slowly fill it up. And essentially that's exactly what he did. And within about 3 years' time, he had the site almost to grade, right in line with when the market started to really start taking off. And we were able to talk to some developers about it and they stepped up and were able to express interest in buying it. And interestingly enough, when we first sold it to our client, he was worried about making money on it. And I promised him 7 to 10 years, Bob, you got to double on this thing. 7 to 10 years, this location, you can't go wrong kind of thing. Well, in 3 years, it quadrupled. So
I like those numbers. I'm sure he did too.
He very much did. So anyway, it was great. We had a really excited buyer about the deal. This is when the market was extremely frothy. What happened is interest rates started going back up because the market had been so hot. And the buyer, their financing component of it wasn't quite penciling anymore. So they came back to us and said, hey, we need to do $1 million retrade on this thing. And I went and talked to the seller and he was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And so the whole deal was going to implode. But we knew of some other activity out there in the market using opportunity zone funds. And we're able to leverage that to get a better financing contingency on this thing. And we're able to kind of make it pencil at that point. So
that's great.
It's
great when everybody wins, right? It's a
good
project for people.
No, absolutely. And it ended up working out. They were able to close at the price we needed to hold. And then they built these 2 beautiful buildings here that this is, again, the location, Bangerter and California Avenue. I'm zooming out here a little bit to show you where it sits in proximity to the airport, 215 over here, I-15 up a little bit further east. And you're kind of smack dab in the middle of Northwest Quadrant. So close to I-80, beautiful buildings, LEED certified buildings. I'll give you a kind of a picture here.
So, and the way this came about, just FYI, is we always try to figure out the best ways we can work with the marketing team. And so what we ended up doing here is we had our drone photographer go out and they just had to get updated photos for our marketing materials and blah, blah, blah. So while we were out there, Brett had been talking to us about this new aerial 360 thing that he was doing, kind of being able to take these different 360 images, these spheres, and overlaying them into some kind of mapping program so that way people could look at it. So what we ended up doing is having our drone photographer go out and fly these bunch of different spheres. You can kind of see where the drone was on the map there. And it essentially just gives a high level overview of what the buildings look like, what the site looks like, proximity to different things. And so it's been a really cool tool where a project like this, some of the people there, they're local folks, they kind of understand the neighborhood and whatnot, but plenty of people don't. So this has been a great tool where people can actually see where does this site land in the neighborhood and what's kind of around it and blah, blah, blah. And, all the office brokers, they use their Matterport tours and whatever it is because it shows walks through the office. Well, we just have big cement boxes. So this drone imagery works a little bit better for us here.
Example, so, inside the building here, this is state-of-the-art building, 36-foot clear, 7-inch floors, good column spacing. We've got some spec office in the corner there that you can't see, but really, really a fabulous building. And again, with this building, one of these buildings, I should say, one of the reasons why we wanted to talk about these ones was because it's kind of that start to finish kind of deal. We're in the process of leasing these buildings. Eventually we'll sell them. And just a really good success story for us.
That's great. So with this footage here, how do you use it with your clients? Do you pull this up on a Teams call? Do you send them links? How have you used it in your interactions with clients and potential clients?
Typically, I'd say this is more of a standalone that we will send them. We have it in our marketing materials. And again, working with Brett and the whole team, they're just constantly looking through all the different platforms and what can ArcGIS do and all these different things. And so Ernie figured out, well, you do this, and then Brett figured out we overlay that and blah, blah, blah. So what we've done is even on our team webpage, for example, and like all of our marketing materials, we can just link this and people can kind of drive around it. And does every single person need it? No, but some people do. And part of what we do too is we have to show our landlords we're out here doing new and creative things because we need to prove why we're better than the shop down the street.
Lately. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
So it's all those.
That's great. It's so good looking. It's a beautiful building, but it looks even more beautiful with the way that our marketing team has helped you capture it.
LEED certified too is one of those things that you don't see often in industrial, but we are seeing more of a trend going that way. Certain larger corporate clients require it these days.
I just toured it with a group last week that was they don't have to sign a lease in a LEED certified building, but that's part of their like ESG step as they're going through, and that's one of the things they're looking at. And so it gives them some ESG points.
Absolutely.
For lack of a better term.
This building also, uniquely enough, because of the odd shape of the lot, it allowed us to put in close to 5 acres of paved yard, which most users don't need, but the ones that do, it doesn't exist. So we've got it here. And if for some reason the tenants we lease the building to don't need the yard, there's enough yard users out there in the market by themselves so we can lease the yard to somebody separately. So yeah, well, this is a versatility there.
Yeah, this is just this was an exercise in creativity kind of from start to finish. Start to helping Bob understand how to use it and using kind of his strengths with his company to go fill it, and then being able to pivot at the last minute and close with the ozone funds, being able to use kind of the odd shaped site, doing the different things like the LEED certification, all that stuff that's just kind of unique. It's a little bit unique kind of across the board. So the whole team related to this has all had to kind of use their creativity. But
yeah, funny enough, I'll also say one more challenge is right here between these two buildings, you have a fault line that runs right between these two buildings.
Just to make it fun.
Make it even more interesting, right? You know,
left her hair. This is one of them, so.
It must be fulfilling to drive around the community though, and know that you made a difference and remember the story. Well, that used to be 6 feet under grade and we fixed that.
It's so much fun.
To know that you really made a difference here in Utah for your clients and for our economy.
It is really fun.
As we finish up here, I'd love to talk a little bit about work-life balance. You're both dads of young kids. You have boys, you have girls, and you both have hobbies too and things you want to do. So I'd love to hear what you've learned and what you've implemented in your lives to be able to have the balance that keeps you happy.
Yeah, good question. It's not easy. It's a very, very busy business, and it's one of those ones that doesn't turn off. And so it takes discipline. Sometimes when I pull into the driveway at night, I'll actually sit in my car for just a few minutes just to kind of like, okay. And I've told myself once I walk across this threshold of my home, work stays at work. That does not happen.
A good goal though, right?
A good goal, exactly. Yeah. It's kind of a mental note, just, okay, let's leave it at the door. And I do fairly well. I do better now than I used to do. And that's one of the beautiful things about having a team is it allows you to do more of that. So that's super important. And when you're at work, going full bore, it's no holds barred. You're out there just working hard and making sure that we're supporting each other in the way that we can. Like as an example, if I've got something going on or vice versa, Bobby's got something going on or someone else on the team has something going on that's personal, we can say, hey, step in and help. So it's really beneficial because when I was a solo operator, that was not the case. I mean, I can't remember, and still guilty of this to some point, a vacation I went on where I wasn't working at some point, during that vacation. And in fact, it was large portions of my vacation I was working. Now it's just small portions. So
that's better. See, that's improvement.
So yeah.
I just say in credit to Rusty with this is that from the beginning of this team, there's always kind of been that vibe of like, we have to come in and we have to work hard. But if we had a good week and we crushed it, we got all our stuff done, maybe we leave an hour early on a Friday or whatever it is, or it might be more than that, or we'll go do some team building thing outside of work or something like that. So we just kind of have always had we really appreciate, acknowledge, and understand that hard work is a very important part of this business. But, you know, you don't have to necessarily work 12-hour days every day. At the beginning of your career, you might. And that's
Right.
kind of the, you know,
Mhm.
we all to pay our dues, quote unquote. And that was I appreciate that time of my career, and it was hard and it was good and blah, blah, blah. But I also feel like then once you've kind of, quote unquote, paid your dues, you get to a point where, you know, my 6-year-old has a soccer game or a soccer practice and I can go take her to it or whatever it is. It's just, you know, you kind of have the opportunities open up a little bit.
I love that. And that's part of your team
Of course.
mentality.
In
Right?
fact, we've got people on our team, and all of us are kind of wired the same way, where it's like they'll be working it's after hours, and occasionally we have to do that. We've got a pitch the next day or whatever. You know, we might be working till 10 o'clock at night, but when we see it happening on a too regular of a basis, I will say to Eileen as an example, I'll say, Eileen, go home. Go home. Let's wait till
We can do
tomorrow.
this tomorrow.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, all right. Anyway, but so it's important that we all support each other in that way. And that's really what makes the magic happen, I think. And as Bobby mentioned, us bringing some work-life play to work, where we
Right.
go out and do team building activities. And we also, as an example, within the next couple of days, we're going to go have a barbecue at Bobby's house where all families are invited, because it's important for us to get to know each other really well, both professionally and personally in the office. But we all have these worlds outside, and I want
Right.
to kind of get to know everybody on that side as well.
I think it's so smart, and it builds retention too when you care about
Yeah.
each other, not just professionally, but you know each other's families and things. So
Yeah.
well done. Well, congratulations on your beautiful careers and your beautiful families and just the combination that you've created. Thanks for being here at Colliers and leading the industrial team here at
Yeah,
Mill Rock.
Jeanette, we really appreciate it. Appreciate you as well. You know, when you came on board here, it was a blessing for us, and
Thank
we're
you.
very grateful.
I appreciate your leadership.
No, thank you. I'm glad
Yeah.
to be here.